If you could act on one clear call from God today, what path would the universe open for you? Close your eyes for a heartbeat and imagine a single step taken with hands steady and feet moving. The sun warming your face, the scent of coffee and old paper around you, the quiet click of a pen as you sign a name to a plan. Now feel the opposite a moment. Feel the weight of indecision like a wet blanket, the taste of regret lingering, the sound of opportunities fading like a door that closes without your notice. Who waits for everything and loses everything is nobody's hero. The Creator gave you hands and reason and the capacity to obey, not only by prayer, but by motion. If you choose now and move with faith, the road bends toward your favor. Napoleon Hill taught that an applied faith is different than a dreamy wish. The promise is simple and concrete. When you act, the universe opens paths and God blesses the work of your hands. Pick up a paper now and write one measurable purpose for the next 12 months. I will show you how to turn prayer into routine and calling into steps you can take this week. You see people around you stuck in comfortable circulation. They attend meetings, they pray, but they do not build a road. They petition for doors to be opened while they have not cleared the path toward them. You know the scene, a neighbor who always says, "I am waiting for a breakthrough," while pouring his time into streaming entertainment. The coworker who prays for promotion but refuses to work past habit. The parent who asks for healing while postponing doctor's visits and discipline. The cost of not choosing is silent and gradual. Your gifts rust unused, your season passes. Imagine a garden left untended, the soil hard, the seed dry, the wind taking the chance of fruit away. The spiritual truth is alarming because it combines grace with responsibility. God gives favor, but often waits for human hands to form the vessel. The problem is not divine scarcity, but human passivity. You have heard messages about faith and miracle and grace, yet too often the takeaway becomes comfort without elbow grease. What if the barrier is not a lack of prayer, but a lack of plan and the courage to start? When you confront that honest answer, you begin to see the road forming under your feet. Purpose is the compass that turns devotion into destination. Purpose is not a vague, warm feeling. It is a map with coordinates and a schedule. The Creator plants a seed of calling in you and asks for your labor. Purpose is the reason you wake at dawn, even when the pillow is soft and the world is loud. It is the voice that says, "This is worth finishing." When I define purpose for you now, I say purpose is the one outcome you desire. Are willing to prioritize above distraction and fear. For the protagonist of our story, a person we will call you, the path begins with a declaration, then moves to small, faithful acts. The backstory of this person matters because calling never appears in a vacuum. As a child, you felt the quiet of late evenings while your parents debated survival. A small prayer whispered under a blanket became the first habit of trust. In adolescence, you learned to work with your hands. You delivered newspapers and washed dishes and discovered the dignity of effort. Those hours taught that motion produces momentum. As an adult, your faith settled into routines, and routines shaped identity. Yet a year ago, a loss of job and a silence in prayer space forced a question: who am I when comfort is stripped away? These 3 seasons formed a backbone of your courage. They explain why fear arises and why commitment now must be stubborn and tender. These paragraphs are the roots that feed the next steps. Now listen to the central argument. Faith without work is an unopened door. Faith with work is a road that invites wind from heaven to favor your travel. Picture a candle in a dark room. The flame alone is promise, but when you lift the candle and walk, the light reveals the path. Every habit you form is like building a plank across a stream. Small steps matter far more than feelings. I will name quick metaphors that stick like nails. A seed waits to be watered, but water without digging may run off. A sail waits for wind, but you must hoist the canvas. A lamp waits for hands to carry it through the dark. These analogies are not poetic fluff. They are operational ideas. The Creator is not distant from process. God honors movement. You pray and then you act. You ask and then you prepare. You seek and then you go door to door with faith in your chest and work in your hands. I want to give concrete examples from real people so you can see the pattern. Sarah, who leads a small ministry, decided to write 1 page daily of outreach letters. She smelled the ink. She heard her own voice reading lines to herself. She saw doors open after she had consistently knocked for 6 months. Daniel, a father and carpenter, set aside 2 hours every morning to study and craft a product. He took to market. His hands smell of sawdust and varnish, and his prayer life deepened as he persisted. Maria, a nurse, prayed for a ministry of healing and then trained in counseling. Now her hands and prayers both bring restoration. These stories show that action invites supernatural coordination, and God shows favor to those who steward opportunity. We need to be precise about practical steps because hope without schedule fails. Step 1. Take a paper and write a single measurable purpose for 12 months. Include numbers and deadlines.
Not slogans. Step 2. Mark 3 sacred hours each week. Protect them as you would a meeting with your pastor. These hours are for work, prayer, and planning. Step 3. Create a 12-month plan broken into weeks and days and assign tasks to your hands, not just your heart. Step 4. Name accountability partners and tell at least 2 people what you will do. Step 5. Celebrate small wins weekly and adjust plans monthly. For each of these steps, imagine textures and sounds. Imagine the paper under your fingers, the click of your calendar, the taste of a simple celebratory bread when you finish a milestone, the warm light from a lamp in your study. Tools you can adopt include a simple spreadsheet, a prayer journal, a focus timer, and a trusted friend to call when resistance grows. I will offer one detailed routine you can start tomorrow morning. Wake 30 minutes earlier than usual. Pray for direction, then write one achievable task for the day. Then work for 90 minutes without interruption. Then rest and review. This sequence is short but potent because motion changes the chemistry of belief. Now, a scene where dialogue shows how choices are contested and affirmed. The scene takes place in a small kitchen. Sunlight through blinds, smell of coffee and toast. The protagonist sits at the table with Pastor John and friend Rachel. They speak, and the exchanges are direct and textured with sound and touch. You say, "I feel afraid to commit. What if I fail?" Pastor John says, "Fail is not the end. It is a teacher." Rachel says, "I will hold you to your promise. You write the plan and share it with us." You say, "I worry God will not move." Pastor John says, "God moves when we meet him in work." He pats the table. You say, "What if doors stay closed?" Pastor John says, "Then the road you build becomes the grace for someone else." Rachel says, "I saw that happen with Mark. He started small, and months later his ministry fed dozens." You say, "How do I start in the middle of life?" Pastor John says, "Start where you are with what you have." He nods and the spoon clinks in his cup. You say, "I need a push." Rachel says, "Call me at 6 every morning and I will pray, and then you will speak your task out loud." You say, "That sounds scary." Rachel smiles and squeezes your hand and says, "Fear is a signal, not a stop sign." You say, "Then I will write my purpose tonight and post it in the group." Pastor John says, "Good. Close your eyes and ask God for the next right step." They breathe, the warm coffee. They hear the fridge hum, the world alive outside this little universe of decision. This exchange contains 9 turns, and each turn carries texture, the warmth of a palm, the taste of coffee. Now, we confront the crisis, the moment of tension when old excuses press hard and memories whisper that you are unworthy. Close your eyes and recall the sting of a job refusal, the harsh tone of a critic, the night you wept alone. Feel the brittle edges of shame and the urge to hide. This paused scene slows time. You smell rain on asphalt. You touch the rough edge of a rejection letter. You hear the distant horn of a truck. For 60 seconds, the mind offers reasons to stop you. You remember voices telling you not to try. You remember the small child you were who learned to survive by shrinking. That memory is a trap and also a teacher.
You must choose to turn away from the old script and act anyway. The inner debate is cruel yet honest. You feel the pulse of fear and the quiet prompt of God the Creator saying, move. Then you make a tiny motion. You answer an email, you stand up, you pick up the pen, you write your plan. A second paragraph of tension follows with slow breath and precise decision. You feel muscles that have long been idle wake. The heart thumps. You recall a safe hand, a friend, Rachel, a Pastor John, and you decide that the fear will not define the next chapter. Commitment means persistence, and naming supporters matters here. In the community, you will find voices like Elijah, who volunteers to proof your pages, and Esther, who offers childcare on your project days. Mark, the entrepreneur, shares market contacts, and Maria, the nurse, offers a space for a small group. Sarah leads weekly prayer for projects, and Daniel offers craft help for product creation. Each of these people appears in scenes where they react and help. Their presence creates lifelines. You must declare a public vow, post your purpose in a community, and ask for help. Record weekly metrics, even small ones, the number of pages written, the number of calls made, the minutes of focused work. Persistence is holy work. Repetition creates muscle memory, and memory builds faith because you see patterns forming and God is acknowledged in each small victory. God appears in ordinary forms, a message, an answered call, a hand that appears at the right time. Pray daily and then work hourly. Now the epilogue, where time reveals progress in grace. We divide this into 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months, and tell what you can expect in honest terms. After 1 month, you have a record of small victories. You rise earlier with less friction. You taste the sweetness of 1 completed week, and you sense God is with you in the details. You have written your purpose and shared it with your group. You feel accountability like warm light on a path. After 3 months, the pattern is stronger. You have corrected missteps. You have named 2 mentors who offer counsel. You have real progress, a product, a course, a ministry meeting. The world begins to open narrow doors to you because you have been consistent. You remember the prayer that felt unanswered, and now you see it answered in pieces. The people named Elijah, Esther, Mark, Maria, Sarah, Daniel, all have brought some resource or introduction, and God's favor appears in those connections. After 6 months, your life looks different in measurable ways. You have a calendar of commitments, you have momentum, you have small income streams or a steady volunteer ministry. Your relationships deepen, and your faith is not primarily emotional. It is embodied practice. You can point to concrete changes, and you know that God honored your persistence not only by supernatural shift, but by aligning ordinary means to miraculous ends. In 6 months, you will taste the fruit of disciplined days and prayerful nights, and the Creator will be known in how ordinary work bore visible blessing. These paragraphs together total a record of hope tempered with time and practical measurement. Before you go, 1 concrete commitment. Write in the comments this sentence: "My purpose is," and finish it with a single measurable goal. When you publish it, you create spiritual and social pressure that helps you persist. If this teaching touched you, subscribe to receive weekly steps on planning and prayer and practical routines. Join the community where we trade tasks, we pray for each other, and we hold a monthly progress meeting. Remember always that God is not indifferent to your work, and that the hidden law Napoleon Hill spoke of is not mystical distance, it is relational God. Aligns the universe with the person who moves. Recap with clarity. Write the purpose, protect sacred hours, plan 12 months, act in small steps, declare publicly, and persist. The miracle most depend on is your movement. Begin today and watch the universe open paths. God acts when you act.